This is Isaac Rowe presenting about political change and impacts of the media for Simon. So today's learning objectives. By the end of this presentation, you will understand how international organisations work with different political systems, understand the political process ongoing in the world, and understand the impacts of communications, media on global issues. Examine examples of political change internationally. Political change is an inevitability of the state system. As a rule, effectively can cause a country to thrive, benefiting the majority of citizens. Therefore, it's in the people's best interest to choose their own leader. Of course, this is not the case everywhere, but democracy is a major concept when discussing political change. To start my presentation, I will look at democracy using the example of the 2019 Ukrainian election. The election was the latest national election held within the European Union and consequently had the potential to affect all countries in the EU. Unlike an American two-party system, Ukraine had 39 candidates running for presidency, and due to the confusion in the polls, it led to 2 rounds of votes. The eventual winner was a comedian, Volodymyr Zelensky, who is best known in the Ukraine for his portrayal of the president in a TV show. Although this is extremely rare, it does link to the media's effect on elections. Zelensky probably wouldn't have won if it weren't for his role as the president on TV. His show gave him the exposure he needed and the funding he needed to gain a competitive advantage over others in the running, and also made it easier for him to gain media backing in his campaign due to his contacts in the business, translating to a high vote share. On a less comedic topic, the Rwandan genocide provides evidence that political change is not always in the best interest of the people. Within a week in 1994, over 800,000 native Tutsi Rwandans, 70% of their population, were killed, one of the most extreme examples of ethnic cleansing in recent history. The attack was executed by the Hutu political elite, who had recently won the state's civil war. Thankfully, the Rwandan Patriotic Front stopped the genocide a week later, although it could be argued that this was too late. The Syrian civil war between Bashir's Syrian Arab Republic, or the current government, which was being chaired by President Bashar al-Assad. There's numerous countries giving support to both the Syrian opposition, which is an umbrella term for those opposing the government, and al-Assad, but there were mostly Western countries fighting war by proxy. Some of these countries include the US, the UK, and France. The war began in 2011 when protesters against Assad were violently suppressed, and this has escalated into an international conflict. Can anyone see any problems with involvement from the West in the Syrian war? No? Problem is, Russia backs Assad because the West backs the rebels, escalating the conflict from the civil war to an international war, causing many more deaths from people from many different countries. Syria was left on its own, although it might have been human rights abuse, it may not have turned out that so many deaths occurred. Evaluate the effectiveness of international organisations' management of recent political change situations. In the wake of modern-day tragedy, victims can usually rely on some level of support from international governments to provide aid and preserve life. But when it comes to managing situations, an international government is not always the best option for people. For example, in the Rwandan genocide, can be partially blamed on a lack of support for the Tutsi people. The United Nations Assistance Mission, or UNAMIR, was set up to aid rebels in the Rwandan civil war by introducing the Ashura Accords. However, the conflict prolonged and the number of troops given by the UN declined by 90% from 2,000 originally to 200 near the end of the conflict. The criticism of the UN is their decision to pull out the troops meant they could not stop the genocide without risking the troops they had. Furthermore, the UN blocked the troops that were still in Rwanda from involvement in the genocide when it was happening. For an organisation founded on values made after World War II, this is extremely poor and disappointing. Furthermore, the Hutu have been preparing for months before the genocide with weapons capable of mass murder being stored and prepped, which the UN was aware of. The UN didn't do anything about this because of red tape, decisions made including everyone for all countries involved, which slowed down decision making and meant it was unable to mobilise more troops in time to stop the genocide. This is one example of failure to support people by an international organisation. The Syrian war is an ongoing conflict attempting to overthrow an oppressive regime. There's been total lack of support from the UN, the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, or NATO, or any other international body. One theory why no international bodies have got involved is that countries in the conflict are too powerful and they do not want to make enemies, with most notable enemies being the US supporting the Syrian opposition and Russia supporting the government. Any international involvement would create powerful enemies. International peacekeeping should not be dictated by petty policies in this way. If a group is being persecuted, a decision should be made by which side is the aggressor, and no matter the politics, life should be preserved as the #1 objective. Sadly, this is not the case. Another reason the UN and NATO have not got involved is the cost. With Russia backing the government, it would be very costly to overthrow them. It could be argued that the funds could save more lives elsewhere in the globe. However, this is still unfair to the people of Syria. Describe the different forms of communications media in today's society. The media play a huge role in modern society. It tells us what to think, how to act, what to buy, causes internalizations of values, and has many negative and scary effects on free will. The three most popular types of media are print media, broadcast media, and the internet. Print media includes newspapers, publications, magazines, journals, and leaflets. Although being the most prominent type of media 100 years ago, now print media has significantly declined in popularity, with consumers opting to read similar information online. Broadcast media originally just included radio broadcasts. However, a more modern medium is television. Gaining popularity through the last 50 years, television is one of the most effective mediums for advertising, as it incorporates both visual and auditory senses and stimulates more parts of the brain than print or radio. Finally, we come to the internet. A global phenomenon, the internet provides a platform for communications all around the world. Customers can produce media themselves on social platforms, pay for goods, read print media, watch broadcast media, choose exactly what they want to consume, hear news as it happens wherever they are, and a multitude of additional activities. Currently, the internet is the biggest form of media consumption and has not reached its peak in popularity yet. .2. Analyse media reporting and producing global issues. The media is a massive tool in politics. History has shown us that whoever spends the most money in US elections usually wins, with the exception of 2010. Due to the changes in technology, the media have had a larger and larger effect on perceptions of individuals, which can be seen as positive or negative. A positive effect of the media is that it is encouraging. Whether or not you agree with what media companies say or do, they're promoting a political party. They are encouraging our right to vote. More votes means more effective democracy, even if those votes are based on media spreading lies or to further someone's agenda. Another reason the media is positive is because it promotes democracy through information. The internet provides a platform for the government to post publications where anyone can access, analyse and form their own opinions based around what they see. Transparency has many benefits to democracy, including preventing corruption and streamlining our government. However, there are negative effects to the media as well. The media can promote extremist views. Social media gives those who arguably shouldn't have a voice somewhere they can reach 7 billion people. This promotes bullying, hate crime, violence, rape, genocide, murder, terrorism, and many other atrocities most people would rather not promote. Furthermore, the media provides the illusion of legitimacy. This is, for example, arguing climate change expert against someone who does not believe in climate change. Anyone watching will think both are legitimate views, whereas there's conclusive evidence that climate change exists. The media promotes negative behaviours under the guise they are fun. Gambling adverts are a perfect example of this. They are primarily aired during shows aimed at the lower class, and a group most vulnerable to the negative effects of gambling as they have less to lose, and more likely to gamble as they may not be happy with their financial situation. This is immoral and corrupt. However, it is difficult to put legislation on the media as they can run stories convincing people that proposed legislation is bad, meaning that the public will oppose the change. Another negative effect of the media is it can be broad. as I mentioned briefly, almost all US elections are won by the candidate with highest funding. In order for a candidate to gain massive funding, it might mean selling out their values to a corporation. This is a double-edged sword, as they can get in power, but they will have to, for example, cut tax for the business that paid them off. This could be blamed on Western neoliberal society, a culture that values power over morals. However, it happens worldwide in practically every election. The media has significant impact on perception of global issues, and this can put pressure on governments to change policy, intervene in situations they otherwise wouldn't, and generally manipulate government policy. This is coined as the CNN effect. The Asian tsunami can be a valid example of this. Due to the immediate blitz following the natural disaster, the international community donated $500 US per person affected. Comparing that to an 18-year war in Uganda, which had little to no coverage, the international community raised 50 cents to each person affected. Another way the media affects international politics is through manipulation during elections. Balanced Careers reports that on stage political rallies, made up of campaign workers dressed to look like mothers and working class men, teachers, and all sorts of different professions, is very, very common to make crowds look bigger. They also make signs and hand them out at rallies to give the impression that the political supporters are much more passionate about the candidate than they are. Those in the background of rallies often reflect the demographics politicians are doing poorly in the polls with. For example, Conservative rallies will usually have young students in the background. Camera angles can also be used to make rallies look bigger. Here's an example of how campaigners made Hillary Clinton appear more popular than she realistically was. On the left is what they posted on the social media side, and on the right is what the campaign actually looked like. As you can see, they've cut off the hall just to make the crowd look bigger for the photos on the left side. Analyse recent media portrayal of public services involved in global issues. The denuclearisation of dominant countries is a current global issue. Jeremy Corbyn was attacked recently in the media for stating he's against the Royal Navy's Trident nuclear programme, the UK's nuclear defence mechanism, despite the Labour Party's support for it. Here's an example from The Express, a right-wing newspaper company analysing his views. As you can see, the newspaper knows its audience and have changed the language in the report to demonise Corbyn. Underlined are some motive language the Express uses to push their own agenda. It's easy to see the manipulation by using words like oldest and strongest ally. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Here are my references. Special thanks to Ben Beer.